The book influencers influenced me. I caved. I'm weak. Hi everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I am Franny and I am weak. Clearly, I do not know what's best for me, because despite knowing that this is a terrible idea and it's going to be almost certainly a failure, I decided that I wanted to do it anyway, that I didn't care, that maybe I could actually succeed, and only time will tell, right? I have 12 months to prove myself wrong and that I can actually do it when I put my mind to it. All this preamble to say that I have very stupidly decided to do the 24 books in 2024 challenge. If you somehow don't know what this means, this is basically a list, a TBR of 24 books that I want to get to in the year of 2024. So it's a TBR that is going to accompany me through the year, and when we reach December, it'll be in the corner looking at me in a very disappointed and disapproving way. So how did I choose these 24 books TBR? I looked at the books that have been on my TBR for the longest time. These are mostly books that I either own physically and or books that I've been saying for a very long time, oh hey, I really want to read that book, and this is the time to get around to that book. I want to give myself an easy way out in a way, just to make sure that I can actually make it through these 24 books TBR, and that is that I don't necessarily have to finish all these books. In the best case scenario, I start the book, I love the book, I finish the book, I keep it if I own it physically. In the worst case scenario, I start the book, I don't like it, and I DNF it, and if I own it physically, I give it away. I basically want to give myself the possibility of DNFing a book if I am not enjoying it, but it has to be a final DNF. It's not going to be a on hold for the moment, I'm not really feeling like it, maybe in a few years, if I don't like it, I don't like it. If I like it, then I read it and finish it. That's how it's going to work. By the end of 2024, we will know what I think about these books one way or another. I decided to divide them into 3 categories. I have nonfiction books, I have fiction contemporary books, and fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian books. Just to have some type of order, otherwise it would have been pure chaos with 24 books. And since this year I am feeling very excited about non-fiction books, that's the category that I'm going to start with. The first book that I want to show you is, gosh, Best Wishes and Warmest Regards. This is for the Schitt's Creek fans out there. This is basically a non-fiction book about the series, the characters, the actors' takes on the characters and so on, and it has lots of images from the TV show, of course, and I cannot wait. This was my brother's gift to me for the wedding, and I am so excited. I really cannot wait to read this. It was a wedding gift, okay? I have to get to it this year. There's no waiting around to read this. The next nonfiction book I have is Queer Love in Color by Jamal Jordan. This is a compendium of queer stories of queer people in love, and I need so much more of this. It has gorgeous photographs and, you know, personal accounts of these people's lives, and I just cannot wait to dive in and read more about queer love stories, because we don't see them enough, we don't hear about them enough, and that's what I want for my 2024. I want queer stories and queer stories of queer people in love, and I'm hoping to see a lot of interracial relationships as well in this one. Then I have Speaking in Tongues by Ella Francis Sanders. This is another compendium of curious expressions from around the world. As the title says, it is basically a collection of curious expressions in other languages that cannot be translated literally into other languages with the same meaning / effect. Some years ago, I don't know how many, I read read Lost in Translation by Ella Francis Sanders, which was the exact same thing, but with words instead of expressions. I found it so interesting. It was beautiful. And the way this looks is that it has an illustration, of course, by the author with the expression and then the language and what it means and a short explanation. And it just looks so cute. I love this sort of thing and I cannot wait. I don't know if you can see a trend here, but I am loving the illustrated personal account or collection of nonfiction things. That's my jam. That's what I love. And the next one is No Difference. It is Women on Top of the World by Lucy Ann Holmes. This is a collection of stories from women from all over the world about their lives and their sex lives and intimacy and relationships and all that stuff. Even this one looks absolutely stunning and gorgeous. I'm trying to see if I can find an illustration that I can show, that it's safe to show. And this is an example. It's really pretty, really beautiful, and I cannot wait to dive in. Then I have When Do the Good Things Start by Abraham J. Tversky. A therapist looks at life's upside downs with a bit of help from Charlie Brown and his friends. Lately, I've been slightly obsessed with all things Snoopy. I got a Snoopy 2024 calendar for the new house. I got a Snoopy mug. I have many Snoopy mugs, actually. I just love it. I don't know why. I know that Snoopy and Charlie Brown and also Calvin and Hobbes have been used by media studies, by psychologists to explain and illustrate certain things of life, and I'm very curious and excited to see how it is done in here. One book that I do own but that I could not find, it's somewhere in my boxes, is Bonk, The Curious Coupling of Science and Sex by Mary Roach. And just the title says everything. I'm just curious. I've heard so many great things about Mary Roach. I know that she has a series of nonfiction books where she tackles different things. One is about death and cadavers, I think. It's called Stiff or something. And this one was also on my radar. It sounds very interesting and I am curious to read it and to see if I like Mary Roach. And the last book that I would like to read that is part of this nonfiction category is The Women's House of Detention by Hugh Ryan. This is a book about the story and the history of a prison for women and queers that used to be located in Greenwich Village in New York. I think it was there for almost 50 years, from the 1920s to the 1970s, something like that. It is a piece of queer history that I know nothing of, and I would love to learn more about. Moving on to the fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian category. The only physical book that I have here with me is The Chimes by Anne Smale. This book, oh gosh, I've had it for ages. I've had this book since 2015. It's crazy to think about it. And I have not read it yet. Like, what am I doing here? This is a dystopian literary fiction novel. The blurb of it says, imagine a London orchestrated by a vast musical instrument that destroys memory. Each object weaves its own melody and song rings in every drop of air. Yet each day feels the same as the last, and the past is a mystery. It sounds very interesting. It has a very interesting premise, and it has a gorgeous cover. But most importantly, this book has been on my bookshelves for 9 years almost. It's time to get around to it and see if I actually like it or not. Another book that I would finally love to get to in 2024 is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Listen, you guys, this book, I've been hearing about it for ages and ages. Robin Hobb is one of the fantasy authors that everyone loves and adores, and I want to be a part of it, okay? I want to know what the hype is all about. And Bells from It's Bells, I link her channel in the description down below. She loves this book, she loves this author, she loves all her series, and I promised her that I was going to read this book this year, so I have to keep my promise, and I will be reading this book this year. I am very, very excited. I know it's long, and I know it's a long series. It's a bit intimidating, but but I want to give it a try. The Trader Barrow Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. This is a book that has been on my radar for not that long, but I have been saying that I really want to get to it ASAP, and I haven't yet. It is supposed to be a queer fantasy book, a queer fantasy series that is very heavy on politics and political intrigue and action and all of that, and also perhaps morally gray characters, and those are all things that are speaking to me, and I'm really looking forward to starting this trilogy and see what the fuss is all about. Last but not least in this category, I have This Is How We Lose the Time War by Amal El-Matar and Max Gladstone. The reason why I'm laughing is that I have tried starting this book twice or maybe 3 times, and by the time I reach the end of the first chapter, I am completely lost. I didn't understand anything of what I read up to that point, and I was so frustrated that I just gave up, and I thought, okay, this is not the book for me, or just not compatible, I have to accept it, I will move on. But then somehow that book comes back to me, I think about it, or I see talked about in a video or in a post, and everyone loves it. Everyone says that it's this great, passionate, uncontainable sapphic love story, and that sounds so beautiful to me. And whenever I read a quote that is taken from that book, I feel like crying because it is so pretty and it's so beautiful and so meaningful. And I just want to try it again, okay? I want to try one more time before giving up on this book because I feel like it's something I would really love. I want to try and make it work. And now let's move on to the last category of contemporary fiction, YA fiction, and all that jazz. There's no order here, you guys, so just bear with me, please. I'm just gonna show you the books that I have here. If Nobody Speaks of Remarkable Things by John McGregor. I saw this book in a video and the booktuber was speaking so highly of it, and this cover just grabbed me. It spoke to me somehow. I don't know much about it. I know that it is set in the UK and it is a very quiet, delicate novel, and I really don't know anything else, and I want to try and go in not knowing anything else. I want it to be a surprise. There's something about this book that called out to me, and I've had this for years, so it is time that I get around to it. Especially now that my wife is in the UK, I'm kind of feeling like picking up all these books that are set in the UK and London and areas nearby. Smothered by Autumn Chickless. This is about a young woman who has just finished her university degree and she hasn't figured out yet what her next move is. She doesn't have a job, she doesn't have concrete plans, and so she moves back in with her mother and they kind of butt heads a little bit, and I think it's about her life and growing up and the relationship with her mother. I'm just very interested to read this one, especially now that I am, for the time being, currently living with my mother. We are not butting heads that much, but I am 28 years old, so it's bound to happen from time to time. I think that's very normal and natural. But anyways, I'm very interested in reading this book. Another book that has been on my TBR for years is Belladonna by Anvara Salam. And the reason why I know that this book has been on my TBR for years is that I've heard about this book on Beatrice Bouganet's channel, and she doesn't make videos anymore. She hasn't in years and years, and I loved her channel so much, and that's how I learned about the existence of this book. And all I know about it is that it follows two... Sorry, I just found a picture of young me in this book for whatever reason. And then there's me and my brother. Oh, I had forgotten I put some photos in this book. Anyways, this book is set in the 1950s and it is about these two young women who go from Connecticut to a small town in Italy to a college of art or something like that. And I think it could be queer, I'm not quite sure, but I just, again, there's something about this book that is calling out to me, just like, what was it? This Is How I Lose the Time War. I have actually started reading this book once. It's not the book's fault, it was just the wrong moment. It was a time of my life where I was really suffering from insomnia. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't really focus, and I had started this book around that time, and obviously it was the wrong move. I never continued or finished it. I think I read the first like 3-4 chapters or something, and then I stopped. But I really want to give it a try. I really want to give it a go. I think I might really love this, so hopefully I will. I won't repeat again that this book has been on my shelves for a very long time, because that's literally the fil rouge in this whole video. Like, that's why all these books are on this list. So I won't say it. I won't say it. But this book has been on my TBR for so long and on my shelves for so long, and that is A Trip and Other Stories by Ellie Williams? I'm not sure. Anyways, this is a, I think, queer collection of short stories that play with language and with words, and it's supposed to be like very nudge smart. I'm curious. I am dumb, so I hope that I will like understand these stories. I'm just curious. I want to give it a try. Hopefully I will end up loving it. Then I have a graphic novel that has been translated from French. I'm actually not sure if there's an English version of it. If there is, I will put the cover on the screen and you can look at that. But otherwise, it's La ragazza nello schermo by Manon Desvaux and Lou Luby, I want to say. I actually know the illustrator. I have other books illustrated by her. The reason why I want to read this book now is because it is about a long-distance sapphic relationship, which is my current status at the moment. So I just want to read it and see how it is, and I hope I'm going to love it. I really love the illustration style inside, and I cannot wait. I have 2 more physical books to show you, and then the other ones I will just put the image on the screen, and I will either get the ebooks or the audiobooks of those, or the physical books are coming in the mail at some point throughout 2024, because they have very pretty gorgeous covers and I might just cave in. Anyways, Ask the Passengers by A.S. King. This is a book that I almost know nothing about. I know that it's YA, I know that it's almost sort of speculative magical realism fiction, something like that. This book, let me tell you for how long it has been on my TBR. Ariel Bissett was still making videos about books regularly, okay? It was before she bought her house, before she started her podcast. It was years and years ago. I think she was a teen when she read it and talked about it on her channel, and it has been on my TBR since then, so I think it's time to pick it up. I didn't know that it was queer, and I think it might be queer, and I was very happy to learn that. We shall see. I trust Ariel. She has weird tastes, but from time to time our tastes align, and I love when that happens. The last book that I have to show you is a book that I have mentioned in a previous video of mine, and that I won't read till next Christmas, and that is A Redbird Christmas by Fanny Flagg. And of course it has to be read around Christmas time, so this is probably, hopefully, one of the last books on this list that I will get around to in 2024. Don't know pretty much anything about this book. Fanny Flagg is a famous author. She wrote Fried Green Tomatoes. She's a very famous author, and I want to read something that she has written. Then I have Her Own Happiness by Eden Apiakubi. I don't know much about this one as well. I read Eden Apiakubi's debut a couple of years ago, The Bennett Women. It was a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it was queer, and I really loved it. And last year this author came out with this new book, and I haven't read it yet. I was waiting for the audiobook to be available, and it is now. I will be listening to it sometime this year. Another audiobook that I plan on listening to is Idlewild by James Frankie Thomas. This book was already on my radar, but it wasn't really high on my list of priorities. And then Marco read it, and he strongly recommended it to me, and I really trust his judgment when it comes to queer books. This is supposed to be a queer coming-of-age novel. It is set at a prep school in New York. I love the New York setting, you guys know that about me, so I am really excited to get to this one, hopefully sometime soon. Another audiobook that I would like to listen to this year is Idol by Louise O'Neill. This one has a very interesting premise. It is about this young woman who is very famous on social media, and then, if I'm not mistaken, she writes memoir sort of thing where she mentions a sexual encounter with another woman that was like a meaningful, good experience for her. But then this other woman comes out and says that it was not consensual, and so there's, I'm guessing, a media storm surrounding this event. It's a very interesting premise, and I'm very curious to learn more about the story. We are almost at the end of this list. Why We Came to the City by Christopher Jansma. I haven't heard much about this book. I saw it in a bookstore when I went to New York in 2019 and I was captivated by the cover, and my sister-in-law got it for me. I don't have the physical book to show you because again it's somewhere in my boxes and I will try and find it at some point soon, but I do have a physical copy of this one as well, and it is about a bunch of 20-somethings who live in New York and they're friends. It's a tight-knit group, and then a tragedy of sorts happens and their lives change. And it's queer, it is set in New York, it has many elements that I usually love, and I am very excited to read it after 5 years of owning the physical book. And we're on to the last two books, who by the way have absolutely gorgeous covers, so I will get the physical books of these ones. I don't have them, I don't own them, but I will. The Evolving Truth of Ever Stronger Will by Maya McGregor. Maya McGregor is the author of The Many Half-Lived Lives of Sam Sylvester. You guys, if you have been on my channel for some time, you know that I have deeply loved that book. I think it was in my top 10 of 2022, but it's also one of my all-time favorite books because it is such a good queer YA story. Oh gosh, I loved it so much. I loved it so much. Anyways, this is their sophomore novel. I don't know much about the plot, but it's their book. They wrote it. I know I am going to love it, and it only has, at the time of filming this video, I checked, it only has 42 ratings on Goodreads, and that is unacceptable, and it's my personal mission of this year to change that. And last but certainly not least, I have Rosewater by Liv Little. And oh my goodness, I don't know why it is so simple yet so beautiful and evocative, and it just works. It's perfect. I love it so much. You can't even imagine. The moment I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm going to love this. It's speaking to me, it's telling me something. And this is about either a 28 or 29-year-old woman who lives in London. She's kind of at a crossroads in her life. She's a bit lost relationship-wise, job-wise, and all of that. And so she's just trying to figure out her life. And that's very relatable. I think I will read this book in May or June. The paperback is coming out in May. That's why I'm saying May. So I will read it after May, but I am excited about it. I am so looking forward to it. I feel that I'm going to love this book, and I truly hope that I am not wrong. And this was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope that it wasn't too long, since I haven't really talked about these books because I haven't read them yet. But yes, I am going to do this. It's crazy. I will be doing the 24 books in 2024 challenge. As I've said, I am very excited about 2024. I have a lot of energy, a lot of positivity, a lot of motivation, and I cannot wait. I am very excited. Let me know if you have read any of the books on this list. If you have read them, let me know where I should start from, or if you'd like me to talk about any of these so I can try to prioritize them. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you very soon with another one, but until then, have a good one, take care, and keep reading queer books. Bye! Warm hugs!